What's up, comic fans? This is Ravi Reddy here from Zanzi Comic Club, back from a very lengthy hiatus. It was quite an eventful December, and yeah, lots has happened. I'm going to be sharing some videos during the next couple of weeks from various movies I've watched, from The Eternals to Spider Man, and more recently, Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, at least the trailer. It was a trailer I at least had a look at, but let me have a brief sort of interlude, if you will, if you just bear with me for a few seconds. I have to say, it was one of the most. At first, it started off as a very underwhelming trailer, but then at the same token, the shot of Dr. Charles Xavier, Professor Charles Xavier, or rather his voice in the background, certainly intrigued many throughout the social media, various social media platforms out there. What is quite interesting is that there are various shadowed figures. I think around about the minute and a half mark of the trailer, where you see sort of the semblance, if you will, of the Illuminati. And as we know, the Illuminati comprised of Black Bolt, Doctor Strange himself, of course, Mr. Fantastic, and Charles Xavier. Forgive me if I've missed any of them, but I never really read that many Illuminati books, but I know that they effectively are the elite, the World Council, in terms of decision making across the various Marvel comic book lines. So you obviously have Charles Xavier from the X-Men, you've got Black Bolt from the Inhumans, you've got Doctor Strange in terms of, well, the multiverse in this particular instance, and of course, most importantly, and I think this is going to be a huge, huge, huge Easter egg and reference point for the next decade or so. Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards himself, the leader of the Fantastic Four. I'm looking forward to seeing what that means for both the X-Men universe as well as the Fantastic Four grouping as well. What's very interesting is that both Fantastic Four and the X-Men universe were at one point run by Fox Studios, and you would think that they would have done a crossover by now. But anyways, that's different material. Disney, of course, now owns Fox, and then now we'll more than likely see a much more amalgamated Marvel Cinematic Universe, including the likes of good old Reed Richards and his fantastic family, the Fantastic Four, as well as the X-Men as well. I think people are very eager to see how the X-Men sort of integrate itself to the multiverse, as it were. And we've already seen Spider-Man No Way Home, where the Spider-Verse has now sort of had some spotlight shine on it, at least, with both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield joining the fold. So I think there's plenty of merit. I think Marvel certainly on the right track. I think they're certainly planning the next 10 years at least with the best foot forward. Kevin Feige's got a fantastic creative team from the looks of it. And I'm saying this all with the Superman shirt on. But in saying that, I think with the possibility of Iron Man making an appearance, it may very well not be the Iron Man we know. I am of the view that could very well be the superior Iron Man, which is the evil version of Tony Stark. And we've seen various iterations of the evil Tony Stark. I mean, I remember reading quite a few comic books in the early 90s of an evil Tony Stark who was quite bent on taking over the world and society at large. But the Superior Iron Man was basically one of his coolest suits, I have to say, where you actually see the full face of Tony Stark in the suit. And I think it's got like this mesh that comes out and joins his suit now and then. But that's going to be very interesting. I think those robots that we saw are more than likely the invention of Tony Stark. And I think what I was trying to get to it is that this is not going to be an Iron Man we've ever seen before. It will likely be the superior Tony Stark, the superior Iron Man. And what that means for me is that it may potentially mean that Robert Downey Jr. does not reprise his role. Instead, they'll afford it to somebody else. I'm of the view that they could very well give it to Tom Cruise. And we would remember back in the early 2000s, Cruise was a favorite to actually get the Iron Man role, all the way back in the early 2000s, even as far back as 2004. As we know, in 2008, Robert Downey Jr. was a successful victor in that regard. But I'm of the view if they're going to do a superior Iron Man story arc, it will likely involve a little more of a grittier sort of actor, somebody like Tom Cruise who's not afraid to play the bad guy on occasion as well. I love Tom Cruise in Collateral. But that's a story for another day, folks. If you haven't watched some Doctor Doom, I was going to say Doctor Doom, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and in fact, Doctor Doom could very well be there actually. Come to think of it, think about that for a second. So if you haven't watched Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, please go check it out. It is absolutely. It starts off underwhelmingly from my point of view, but it certainly had a very progressive outcome towards the end. What's your take on it? What's your views? Share a like, share a comment. Happy to have a chat of it. This is Ravi from Zanzi Comic Club. Stay cool.